And we are live. So much to talk about today. Let's dig right into it. Good morning, everybody. I hope your day is going as well as mine. So much to talk about, so many different things going on in the world. Let's get started. President Biden gave his farewell address. And as I have, look, I have said this over and over and over again. We are not the same as the stupids. We are not. We're just different people. We are not the same as MAGA. We are very, very different people. And nothing highlights it more than this. President Biden gave his farewell address. And when he gave his farewell address, one of the things that he warned us about is that we are slipping into an oligarchy. That is a huge deal for a sitting member of the government, much less a president, to acknowledge. That is not the kind of thing that people typically stand up and say, this is happening, folks. Pay attention. This is happening. But he did, because it is going to be the greatest challenge we face over the next 4 years is the rise of the oligarchy. They shot their shot in this. I've said it over and over and over again. I won't beat a dead horse to death, but they shot their shot this election. Best they got was a damn near 50-50 election. It's going to be a fight. It is going to be a fight. But here is where you need to be in that fight and why. This happened right after President Biden says, look, we're slipping into an oligarchy. We're having a problem. Yeah. The search for what the hell an oligarchy is exploded all over, Google's number one search. What's an oligarchy? What's an oligarchical government? What is, folks, we are not the same. We are not the same. When I say that when I talk about the oligarchs, when I talk about an oligarchy, when I talk about, you know what I'm talking about. We cannot forget going forward. We cannot forget going forward that we are not having a conversation. Yeah, Monica, the stupids. We're not having a conversation only with ourselves. These comments that these concepts that seem so elementary to us are beyond the voters out there. So what you have to do, I'm going to ask you to do several things, but one of the things that I'm going to ask you to do, our audience, look, I talk to you folks. I do. We converse. We converse. You are established, successful, intelligent people. You are. But I know you're like me. You have people around you that aren't. They may be doing okay. They may know, but they have no clue when it comes to politics. This is where you have to use your grandma power, your mom power, your dad power, your grandpa power, and you have to be talking to these people because, folks, they don't even know what an oligarchy is, much less that they're in a class war with one. And it is up to us to teach. ET, when you don't teach civics anymore, people don't learn these things. Now they want to teach even less. Exactly, ET. Exactly. It's one thing just to say that, but we're living in this world. We've got to do it. And it means things. But let me wrap up with Joe Biden and what he's been doing. Yeah, he has set a record. Joe Biden has now pardoned and commuted more sentences than any other president in the United States. And they tell you never read something to your audience because it makes the eyes glaze over. But I'm going to read this to you anyways because, like I said, we're not them. We're not the stupids. This is a statement from Joe Biden about his latest commutations, and it is worth remembering what we just lost in this last election. It really is. We were on our way to fixing a lot of major systemic problems, like the idiotic war on drugs that we've had. We were on our way to fixing that, and now we're not. We lost that in this election. But hey, we got some things done. Let's at least celebrate those things that we've been able to achieve. I could literally be sleeping through the inauguration at 4 to 5 in the morning Pacific time. Yeah, I'm not going to do let them freeze out. And the inauguration is going to be in the high teens, maybe 20 degrees with a 10-mile-an-hour wind. Good. Hope they all freeze. This is a statement from Joe Biden. Today, I'm commuting the sentence of nearly 2,500 people convicted of nonviolent drug offenses who are serving disproportionately long sentences compared to the sentences they would receive today under current law, policy, and practice. With this action, I have now issued more individual pardons and commutations than any president in U.S. history. Today's clemency action provides relief for individuals who received lengthy sentences based on discredited distinctions between crack and powder cocaine, as well as outdated sentencing enhancements for drug crimes. As Congress recognized through the Fair Sentencing Act and the First Step Act, it is time that we equalize these sentencing disparities. This action is an important step toward righting historic wrongs, correcting sentencing disparities, and providing deserving individuals the opportunity to return to their families and communities after spending far too much time behind bars. I am proud of my record of clemency, and I will continue to review additional commutations and pardons. Yeah, that's over. That's over. January 20th. The people that believe in punitive government, the people that want the checks from the private prison industry are back in charge. So, yeah, kudos to Joe Biden for those commutations and getting it done before anybody could stop it. Very proud of him. Yes, he's going to pay a political price for this. He is. A lot of these people have spent decades in jail, and I don't know if you are familiar with prison, but it's a training ground, and it is not Mr. Rogers' training ground. A lot of these people, even though they were nonviolent offenders going in, have gone to criminal school, and they will be hitting the streets. Randy Oliver, thank you. Thank you for the support, man. So yeah, some of them are going to screw up, and we as Democrats are going to pay a price for it. We are. Every one of these people that can get commutations, everything they do going forward, from parking tickets to homicides, Republicans will look what Joe Biden did. Might as well have just done it himself. Just committed the crime himself. You know it, I know it, but it is the right thing to do. This war on drugs, I don't know how many of you people have people with addictions in your lives or in your circle. If you do, if you've got any experience with it at all, you understand how useless prison is and how it actually works against getting any addict to move on with their lives and live better lives. It is just, you're taking somebody. We know it's not the drugs, it's not the heroin, it's not the crack cocaine, that is not what creates addicts. It is the world they live in that creates addicts. And if you make that world worse with I don't know, keeping them out of jobs because they've now got criminal convictions, or, they've gone to jail, or they've gone to prison, or they've gone to, you know, you're not fixing the problem. You're just contributing to the problem. That's all we've done over the last several decades. And kudos to Joe Biden for going in the right direction. This also happened. This is why I'm proudly using my Team Luigi cup this morning. Yeah. The Federal Trade Commission. You see the picture, you don't see United Healthcare or the new United Healthcare CEO or anybody, their face next to this headline, uh, being held responsible because, it's not like the media would actually hold anybody responsible. No, who's pictured here is the FTC, Federal Trade Commission chair, Lena Khan, who has done a great job at going after these insurance companies for things like this. Of course, the corporations are squealing like gutshot hogs about this. Say, "Oh, well, you cherry picked that information." Yeah, they found the drugs that you were actually doing that with. Your argument is crap. But yeah, that really just happened. And that is why I'm Team Luigi. I am shocked that it took as long as it did for us to end up with a Luigi Mangione. But Lena Khan has been doing a good job. Unfortunately, elections have consequences, and this is happening. The only FTC commissioner who didn't vote to crack down on junk fees just so happens to be Trump's pick to lead the Federal Trade Commission. Yeah, you remember the Federal Trade Commission crackdown on hotels and ticketing agencies and banks and then, all kinds of different institutions over junk fees. Everybody was piling more and more and more and more crap fees on everything you purchased. Most were just ridiculous, just to drive up costs and increase their profit margin. Well, Lena Khan did a really good job of cracking down on those. Now we've got Weissman stepping in. Andrew Weissman stepping into, one second. Pardon me, Andrew Ferguson. I said Andrew Weissman. I knew that was wrong. Andrew Ferguson stepping in as head of the FTC, a guy that has, again, during the election, all shiny objects, all Andrew Ferguson talked about. All he talked about was freedom of speech on social media. Elon Musk's garbage that he was pushing on X. Yeah. Andrew Ferguson is Trump's hatchet man. You wonder why all of a sudden, everybody's making the assumption that you've got Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos suddenly licking Trump's taint. Everybody's making the assumption, well, that's who they were all along. That's who they always wanted to be. And no, they had freedom before under us Democrats. They had a great deal of freedom before. They could have been that way if they wanted to. Nothing stopped Elon Musk from being that way. Why the hard right turn? It's Andrew Ferguson. He has been the guy leading the charge alongside of Elon Musk about pushing right-wing crap on all of these social media platforms. This is his guy. This is one of the most important appointments that you're never going to hear about in the corporate media. And the find out phase, we keep looking forward to the well, I'm not going to start cussing yet, but to the jackasses that voted for Trump about cheap eggs and the price of groceries. And well, you remember the Kroger Albertsons merger? You remember that? How the Federal Trade Commission stopped that because it didn't serve the people's interests in any way. The only thing it served was to increase Kroger's profit margin. The only thing it served was to hurt the employees of Kroger's and Albertsons. The only thing that it served was to drive up the price of groceries. So our democratically led federal government stopped that merger. Oh yeah, that's going through. After January 20th? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That Kroger Albertson merger is going to fly through so fast. There's going to be you're going to feel a backdraft blow by you. And what do you think is going to happen to your grocery prices? I mean, let's face it, folks. All of our inflation, when we got out of COVID and everything opened back up and factories started working again, all of the inflation from that point forward was all collusion, corruption, monopolies by the oligarchs. All of it. And the people, us, the Democrats, the Biden administration, that were fighting it, Lena Khan out there doing her job, bringing inflation down. Well, they punished them. They punished them for what the oligarchs who fund the Republican Party do. And I want to wrap that up with this. Every time I post about something on social media, when I talk about a subject, I am a partisan Democrat. I am. I've never, ever have any of you ever heard me say anything different? I am the founder of the Ride or Die Democrats. When I talk about an issue, I talk about it from the Democratic point of view. I don't lie. Feel free to call me out. If I say something that's not true, call me out. You're smart people. You're like herding freaking cats, man. You know it. Yeah. Y'all don't goose step along. You don't. If I miss a fact or if I glaze over, even Cliff notes something, I will get 50 emails and 100 comments explaining why I don't. And that's the way it's supposed to be. That's a good thing. But folks, we had in the Democrats people like Lena Khan that you never heard of, that you never paid attention to, that were just doing the damn job. But every time I post to social media, I get some guy, and I love the way Bill Burr described him when they were talking about the fire, sitting on the internet in their chair in their underwear, who's suddenly a freaking expert. And there's this whole group, this subset that hate on Democrats. Every time I mention something, they have negative comments to say about the Democratic Party and how the Democratic Party can't message, they can't this, they can't that. And you, by the statements that they make, I understand that the people that are making those statements don't understand the corporate media. They don't understand the government. They tend to not understand the subject matter they're talking on. They don't understand the complexities of anything, but it is so freaking cool for them to tell the world how much smarter they are than the Democratic Party. And if the Democratic Party would just do what, underwear guy wants them to do, the world would be such a better place. We do not have time for these circular firing squads anymore. We just do not. Your vanity, and I don't mean you. If you're watching this show, I don't mean you. I'm talking about those people that post on social media and all they do, they're nihilists, they're cynics. Every situation has to be a comment about what the Democrats didn't do right. And it doesn't matter if they're even getting the comment right. It's just self-aggrandizement. I'm so smart. Look at what I've got to say, even though I clearly don't understand the concept I'm talking about. Folks, we don't have time for this. We don't. And I'm going to explain why. We have got to be already have hit the ground and running. We've got some things that are happening right now that we have got to be ahead of. You know, these are just some of the things, before we get to that, these are just some of the things that we have been doing that are changing. You know, we saw the effects of global warming in California and the fires. You had unusually, climate change, unusually wet winters that led to extreme amounts of vegetation, and unusually dry summers that had led to drought, that had led to dead vegetation. Voila, California forest fires. Well, they're not forest fires, they're California wildfires. There isn't a forest there. We're seeing what's going on. We don't have time to keep playing this game of, FAFO. We don't have the time. And as Democrats, we've been doing stuff like this. This really just happened. Toyota just decided, screw EPA guidelines. We'll just pretend our trucks meet EPA guidelines. Hino, if you know anything about trucking and shipping, Hino is a huge brand. They're owned by Toyota. Used to be a partnership between Mitsubishi and Toyota, but when Mitsubishi found out that Toyota was doing this with their engines, they broke it off. They said, you will buy us out of Hino. Hino is 100% Toyota owned. They just made it up. They just said, okay, yeah, all of our engines meet. Yeah, sure. We meet your guidelines. No problem. The EPA finally caught them from 2012 to 2020, 8 years of working with Hino, going after Hino, or the tests coming back saying, look, your trucks don't do what they're supposed to be doing. I don't know where these certifications are coming from. They finally had to lodged a criminal investigation, which ended up in this civil action. And Toyota saying, yeah, okay, we made it all up. None of these trucks don't meet EPA guidelines. None of these diesel engines we shipped over for trains meet EPA guidelines. And they knew it because 2 years ago, Hino switched to Cummins. Cummins, folks, if you know anything about you, Cummins has a stellar reputation. They do. They have just been building bulletproof engines forever. That's over. That's over. There is no one in this coming regime that is going to enforce this stuff. They're just not going to. Mr. Newton, glad to see you here. Texas Paul, don't disparage underwear guys. They are the fountain of endless knowledge that will save America and the world. Yeah, tell me about it, man. Tell me about it. Oh, my God. So many of those people out there. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff. We don't have time to waste. We've got to get in these fights. And stick around, not this next part, but the part after this, we're going to talk about explicitly why. I want to talk about the confirmation hearings. I'm not going to play you a lot from the confirmation. I'm going to play you like 2 or 3 videos max. Folks, the Democrats did a great job. They did. They asked the important questions. You saw the stupid, how many sit-ups can you do? How many push-ups can you do? Pete Hegseth would not answer the question, would you follow an illegal order? just refuse to answer. That is what every one of these nominees have done. And kudos to the Democrats for calling it out, but there's just not a lot of point in playing you a lot of footage from these hearings, because they just don't answer. They all stonewall, which to me is the answer. If you will not answer, will you follow illegal orders? If you will not say, no, of course I won't follow illegal orders. I mean, no brainer. To me, that's your answer, that you will. Mazie Hirono, I need more coffee. Mazie Hirono did an amazing job here. She's talking to, of course, Pam Bondi, who's going to run the Department of Justice. She is going to be our Attorney General. And again, just non-answers, and this sets the tone. I mean, for me, you don't really need to hear any more out of the hearing, because this just tells you what she's going to be.
I want to ask you a factual question. Who won the 2020 presidential election?
Joe Biden is the president of the United States.
Ms. Bondi, you know that there is a difference between acknowledging it and, I can say that Donald Trump won the 2024 election. I may not like it, but I can say it. You cannot say who won the 2020 presidential election. Okay. It's disturbing that you can't give voice to that fact. Moving on to.
I mean, what else you need to hear? What else do you need to know? I mean, she's not going to answer questions. She's not going to participate in the oversight hearing, and the Republicans don't care. They're going to approve her anyways. They're going to add their consent anyways. Elections have consequences, folks. Elections have consequences. And we need to remember this going forward. We need to remember when we have people sitting before these committees in the future, and we will take power back. We will. These people are going to fail miserably. We need to remember these norms are gone. These traditions and norms are gone. Becky in Texas, aka Miss Kitty, thank you for being here. I appreciate the support. Sounds like the 3 Trump nominees to the Supreme Court when they all said under oath. That was exactly what I was thinking too when I was reading. Roe v. Wade was established law, established precedents. This set of nominees know there are no real consequences for lying to Congress. They didn't even have to lie. They just didn't answer. They just did not answer. They didn't even lie. That's what I was thinking about the whole Roe v. Wade thing. They lied. They said, "Oh, this is established precedent." That's why I'm not playing hardly any of the clips, because they didn't even bother to lie. Like Pam Bondi, she just sat there in silence. What you gonna do? I got the votes. What you gonna do? Linda Huxley, thanks for the support. It's been colder and snowier in all of Maryland this winter than California is getting fires in January. We usually get a heavy hit with snow around Washington's birthday. Another nor'easter is due Sunday. Yeah, the climate, she is a-changing. She is. And we don't have time to keep playing these games. I want to play another clip, one more clip with Pam Bondi. It is Senator Richard Blumenthal. He does a good job here. But again, it's about Kash Patel and the insane, crazy, troubling things that he has said. She just completely ignores his question.
An individual who says that he is going to, quote, come after, end quote, people he alleges, quote, help Joe Biden rig the presidential elections, that he has a list of people who are part of this deep state who should be prosecuted. that he's going to close down the FBI building on his first day in office. Is that a person who appropriately should be the FBI director? Aren't those comments inappropriate? Shouldn't you disavow them and ask him to recant them?
Senator, I am not familiar with all those comments. I have not discussed those comments with Mr. Patel. What I do know
Well,
is
I'm
Mr.
asking
Patel,
you for your view.
Excuse me. What I do know is Mr. Patel was a career prosecutor. He was a career public.
Okay. You get the idea. She's just not going to answer. And I got to tell you, if I seem a little salty over this, I sat and watched these damn hearings, and they were a complete and utter waste of my time. They were just a complete and utter waste of my time. The Democrats asked serious questions. Kash Patel, his hearing is today. After the show, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to go watch the Patel hearing from beginning to end. And I don't think he's smart enough to keep his mouth shut. He's an arrogant bastard, but he's dangerous. And he said a lot of very dangerous things. He has no moral compass. But yeah, I am a little salty about this. This was a complete and utter waste of my time, your time, the American people's money. They didn't even have the respect for Congress and the process and the American people just to answer serious, valid questions. I mean, they were glad to talk about, well, I did 4 sets of 47 push-ups this morning. Like that was important. But, hey, this guy, Kash Patel, has said some crazy and illegal things. He said he's going to abuse the process. Crickets. Nothing. Buckle up, folks. This is going to be a long 4 years, and we do not have time for these circular firing squads. We don't. If you haven't figured it out, that is the theme for today. We do not have time for the, oh, look how smart I am because I can tell you how terrible Democrats are. No, you don't even understand what the exchanges were and what our challenges are in the corporate media. You're just running your mouth on social media to make yourself feel smart, and we don't have time for your vanity. We don't. Because of things like this. Scott Bessent's hearing. Hey, Bernie Sanders got him to answer a question. I couldn't believe it. He actually answered a question. You ain't going to like the answer. AJC, $50, man. Thank you. That's a lot of support, brother. I really appreciate it. I mean, I understand, man. $50 is a lot of money. The appointment of these bootlickers would be hilarious if it weren't so horrifying. Civil disobedience is only the beginning for us. That is true. 100%. Well said, sir. Perfectly said. This is why I'm saying we have a lot of work to do, a lot of work ahead of us. I wish we could just chill out and be watching the Harris administration do a good job and worrying about nothing but Easter coming up. But we can't. We can't. Not anymore. MAGA is not owning the quote libs, but they sure as hell are depressing. Yeah. We're in the middle of the find out phase, folks. It is just beginning. Bernie Sanders here. You know me, I was a Bernie bro from way back in the day. I was very proud of him in this line of questioning. Did a good job here. This is brought to us from Midas Touch. Folks, going forward, you're going to need good information. If you are not following Midas Touch, they are the fastest growing independent news network there is. If you are not following Midas Touch, you're not following people like Hal Sparks. You're not following people like me. You're not following Tennessee Brando. You're not following Christopher Titus. Christopher Titus at least will make you laugh when you want to cry. I mean, there are good people out there. Follow them. Midas Touch did a good job bringing us this one. This is Bernie Sanders. Very proud of him. You're not going to like this one, though.
Shamefully, the federal minimum wage, despite the efforts of myself and other people here, have not been raised since 2009 and remains an unbelievable $7.25 an hour. Will you work with those of us who want to raise the federal minimum wage to a living wage to take millions of Americans out of poverty?
Senator, I believe that the minimum wage is more of a statewide and regional issue.
So you don't think we should change the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour?
No, sir.
Shamefully,
So that's over. You know, we made a lot of progress over the last few years, despite Republican objections, despite the fact that the Republicans have been in a position to filibuster, to spike, to fight us on that issue. And they fight us to the death on that issue. That is one of their sacred cows. We will not, they want to eliminate the federal minimum wage. They do. Folks, Scott Bessent's just sitting there telling you, no. I mean, all that progress we made, it's gone. It's over. Their Treasury Secretary is not going to push for a living wage. He doesn't believe in it. He believes in tax cuts for the oligarchs. That's it. Peter Campbell, stand by for the greatest heist in history. Amen, brother. I believe it will be aided by this compromat cabinet. It will include tax cuts, insider trading, bribery, and who knows what else. Yeah. Yeah, spot on. I mean, I'm glad to see that everybody's on the same page here. This is why we cannot afford the circular firing squads, and we've got to be ride or die Democrats. You know, they're out there. They're asking the questions. They're doing it. They're doing it. But the first time they have to make a deal, and we're going to talk about when that is, because that's going to be coming up in a few months. They have to make a deal. I'm going to get all the smartest people in the universe sitting there telling people how terrible the Democrats are, who don't understand the process, don't understand how the sausage is made. They don't get it. All they want to do is crap talk the Democratic Party, and here we are. Look, we have had some things happen. Of all the reasons I tell you that we have to be working together and working hard, and why I beg you to please get involved with your local Democratic Party, this is it, what we're about to talk about right here. Amy Manuel, glad to see you're here. Glad to see you here. Yeah, tip minimum is still $2.13. It's insane. It's insane. And there are people that go out and don't leave tips. You know, I don't care if you got bad service. You know, I mean, these people, nobody should work for free. Nobody. And that's basically what they're doing. One second. But yeah, this is what I really, really, really wanted to talk to you about today. Forgive the dead air. I'm sorry. But I wanted to check. Yeah, they've named a replacement. Oh, God. All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's pull him up. If you haven't been following what's been going on, yeah, God. Here we go. This is Rick Crawford. He is going to be running the House Intelligence Committee. I'd been watching very closely to see if this would happen before showtime, and it didn't happen before showtime. Forgive the pause. This is Rick Crawford. He's from Arkansas. He is a MAGA partisan jackass. Folks, this happened. This is Mike Turner. Mike Turner was the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. This guy, while I disagree with him on most things, I wouldn't call him a psychopath. He was heading a committee that can't be partisan. And he did a fairly decent job. The intelligence committee is vital to our national security. It is. Democrats and Republicans have to work together on the Intelligence Committee. This is something that cannot be partisan. And Rick Crawford does exactly that. He is MAGA. He's gross. He is gross. He is not a fit leader of the House Intelligence Committee. And again, this tells us where this is going. The removal of Mike Turner leaves us in a really interesting situation in the House. And I will tell you why he was removed. Mike Turner understood, and for our European audience, Mike Turner understood the threat Russia poses. Mike Turner spoke out against Russia's influence in our elections. He spoke out against Russia's actions in Ukraine. He understood the danger. He helped usher through a lot of the funding for Ukraine and the support for Ukraine. So Trump wanted him gone. Trump sucks Putin's nuts and will at every turn. And one of the things that Putin wanted done more than anything was Mike Turner taken off the House Intelligence Committee. Why have competent people in important jobs? So now we've got Mr. MAGA jackass Rick Crawford. This was Trump. And this shows a dangerous president. This shows exactly how weak Mike Johnson is. This shows that he's going to bend the knee. There will be no resistance. There will be no Republicans doing the right thing. I cannot stress to you enough. This has never happened on the Intelligence Committee. There are certain committees within our Congress that partisanship is left at the door. It has to be that way. That's over. Mike Johnson has signaled with the removal of Mike Turner that he's going to do whatever Trump wants. He's going to do, even if it is directly serving and showing fealty to Putin, he's going to do it. This leaves us in a really unique situation, folks. Okay, we've got a vacancy in the House. The Republican, it should be 220 to 215. 435 members of the House, but it is not. It is 219 to 215. Republicans hold 219 seats. Democrats hold 215. Monica Meadows, the confirmation hearings were a GOP circle jerk. Amen. Amen. They were. It was. You should have heard old Kennedy from Louisiana, Foghorn Leghorn. It was just stupid. It was talking about Sam Bankman-Fried and how he dressed like a slob with old Bill Clinton. He'd meet with Bill Clinton dressed like a slob and thought he was really, I mean, it was just stupid out in the middle of nowhere. It was just a waste of everyone's time. I hope my beautiful wife brings me another cup of coffee. The reason it's not 220 to 215 is this moron right here, Matt Gaetz. Y'all remember Matt Gaetz? Remember Matt Gaetz resigning his position to become Attorney General, which was shot down, thankfully. He was forced to resign, withdraw his nomination. Yeah, that leaves us at 219, 215. Donald Trump, thank God he's a moron. Thank God Donald Trump is a moron. Poached 2 more sitting members of the House. And he was stupid enough to think that would be okay. That would be all right. He appointed Mike Waltz here. This is Mike Waltz from Florida to be the national security advisor. To be his national security advisor. Mike Waltz, a former Green Beret, not extremely qualified for the job, but not drooling on himself either. Not the person that most presidents would have selected, but he did. Okay, so that eliminates 1 seat in the House. We're now at 218 to 215. This is Mike Waltz's district in Florida. Now, Trump thought, hey, no problem. This area right here in red, that's blood red, man. They voted for me big time. Put a pin in that. Put a pin in that. You see, it's right up next to Alachua County, and you're talking about Putnam, Flagler, St. John's, Volusia, that area. Should be a safe seat. But wait for it. Put a pin in that. The other person he took out of the House was Elise Stefanik. She's going to be our new UN ambassador. And if you know anything about Elise Stefanik, she is one of the least qualified, has the worst temperament, not incredibly bright. Jesus, if you wanted to pick somebody that was just a turd in a punch bowl at the UN, there you go. There she is. There she is. Trump thought he was pretty safe doing that because this is Elise Stefanik's district up in upstate New York. It's a pretty red area. It is. This is where the folks that live in New York, a lot of them have summer homes up here. I've actually been up here. This area, you see Watertown here. This area right here is known as the Thousand Islands. And yes, that's where Thousand Island dressing, the name of Thousand Island dressing comes from. It came out of Waldorf. But anyways, it is stunningly beautiful. The St. Lawrence River runs along, it feeds the Great Lakes there. It's a beautiful area up here in upstate New York. A lot of it's pretty rural. These counties don't have but a few thousand voters. But Trump probably thought he was safe pulling Elise Stefanik out, given what happened in the 2024 election. No, this is what I'm telling you. No. Okay, that leaves us at 217 to 215. Okay. First of all, let's assume he assumed right, and they do win those seats back. Folks, Gates's seat isn't coming up for election until April 1st. Waltz's seat will be even later than that. They've got to hold a primary. You're talking May, June, July before they fill that seat, or Stefanik's seat. So it's going to be 217 to 215 in the House. Mike Waltz, and I never sell this dream. I don't. You've heard me talk about Republicans flipping before. Mike Waltz has gone from being worth a few $100,000 to being worth, he hasn't disclosed exactly his value, his net worth now, but it's somewhere between $2 and $10 million. That's a Republican congressman for you. They go to DC. They don't do any work. All the legislation is written by special interest groups. They put the people on their staff who they're told to put on their staff to do them favors. They get to join all the social clubs. We had a show where we talked about these social clubs. We talked about old Ronnie Jackson and his ascension into the high life. We did a whole show on Ronnie Jackson and how his memberships and reciprocal memberships allows him to sit into these, good old boy clubs, these 5-star dining facilities and posh lifestyle. That's what a Republican congressman is. A Democratic congressman, you win election, the first thing they do is they sit you down in a cubicle, they hand you a list and say, your election is less than 2 years away. Start calling because there's nobody here to hand you a check. You have to get donors. You have to get, you just do. It's work. And you're on committees, and you have to work to get the legislation that's important to people in your district pushed through. It's the actual job. So the idea of having a Republican leave what their reality is as far as being a congressman to become a Democrat, that's a tall order. That's a tall order. That's willingly going to work. You know, it's willingly going from sitting on your ass and living the high life and eating Wagyu beef to actually having a job. So I don't sell that dream very often. Mike Turner's a different case. Mike Turner's a believer in the importance of government. He believed in the importance of his job. And I will tell you right now, Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic Party are making a run at Mike Turner really freaking hard to get him to flip. And if they can get him to flip parties, that will be 216 versus 216. Now, why is that even a possibility, given everything I just said? Yeah, do they all just, good question, Peg. Thanks for the support. Do they all just share one brain cell? Good question. And I don't know if they even have the one, to be honest with you. But Mike Turner is a believer. Mike Turner is also a congressman whose district is around Dayton, Ohio. And this is why I think there is a small possibility. I want you to think about the time frame we were talking about. Gates' election isn't until the special election to replace Gates' seat isn't until April. These elections won't be until, we're talking Stefanik and Walz's again, maybe June, maybe July. We don't know. It's going to be out there before. It's going to be a long road. Think about what's going to happen. We have Donald Trump, the 2025 project. We've got Russ Vought, who is also useless in his nomination confirmation hearing. Yeah, they're going to do what they were talking about doing. They've already got their and forgive me, I'm a little tongue tied on this one. Political Amy Emanuel back in the house. Thanks for support. I'm in Ronnie Jackson's district. It goes from Denton to Dalhart. Yeah, that guy. I cannot believe people actually vote for that man. But yeah, they've already got 100 executive orders in place to go into place on January 20th. The whole point of the 2025 project was to rip the bandage off fast so that we're left fighting. You know the old adage, better to ask forgiveness than ask for permission. Yeah, that's the approach they're taking. And that's going to lead right into these special elections, which are backlash elections anyways. That's just the way it works, folks, is once a party does what the Republican Party did, the only tempering is to a backlash is when it's as close as it is right now, they tend to not be radical. They tend to realize they've got to work with the other side, so the backlash isn't as big. The Trump regime is ignoring that. They're going to push through. I want you to imagine these elections are going to go through because remember, we've got a budget fight coming up in April. All of the rhetoric, all of the talk about priorities, the cuts to the VA, all of it is going to be coming up as these elections are happening in an already backlash environment. Folks, we don't have time for the circular firing squads. We have important elections coming up. Yeah, Vought is Opus Dei. Yeah. Religious radicals. Yeah. Silly Bee Boo, thanks for the support, man. The one brain cell is being used by the Orange Kitty Committee. Yeah. But think about it that way. I want you to think about it that way. Let me play you a clip from Russ Vought's confirmation hearing.
Do you believe there should be a means test for disability benefits going to veterans?
Again, I'm not going to speak to the.
So
any
you're not going to
policy.
answer that question, but you have in the past taken the position there should be a means test. Do you believe there should be a means test for disability benefits going to veterans?
Again, I'm not going to speak to the.
You know when they are going to be speaking about it? Because this is one of the things that they're pushing in the 2025 project is veterans who earn their benefits will not just get them, they're going to means test them. They're going to base it off of what is your income now will determine how much you need and how much they spend on you. Those conversations are really going to be happening while these special elections, 3 of them, are taking place. That's the environment we're going to be in, folks. Big picture. Big picture. That is really going to be happening. Something else that's going to be happening. You've heard a lot about a ceasefire. You heard a lot about a ceasefire. I want to pull up these guys. Gregory Brown, thanks for the support, my man. For my opinion, coming from the left, the coming theft of Jimmy Carter's honor tells us everything we need to know about the direction we're going to go for the next 4 years. Yeah. The fact that Trump is such a fragile, weak, petty little individual that he can't handle a flag flying at half staff during his inauguration. And they are going to disrespect Jimmy Carter. A hero, a veteran. They're going to disrespect him and raise the flags to full staff because Donald Trump is weak and fragile. These are the things, these are the conversations. These are why we have these backlash elections, because now they're held accountable, not for the shit they say, but what they do. And we have to hit this hard, folks. You have to get involved with your local Democratic Party. Do it. This is how we fight back. Peter Campbell, the old and horrible saying, nothing is too good for our veterans. Nothing is what they get. Shameful. Yeah. That's the Republicans. They're really going to be doing these things. And we're really going to be in the middle of a budget fight during these elections. And I want you to think about that. But there's something else that's going to be happening. You heard a lot about a ceasefire in Israel. And I came out very negative about it. I did. I flat out said, look, best case scenario, this is just temporary. We've got details on it. It's the same agreement they had back in May. These jackasses, this is Itamar Ben-Gvir on the left, this is Bezalel Smotrich on the right, and of course Benjamin Netanyahu in the middle. These guys are the most radical, hard right. All of Israel isn't like this. They aren't. In fact, most of Israel isn't like this. They have the same problem with voters that we do. But this ceasefire is broken up into three groups, the 3 sections. The first section is going to be a few weeks long. Folks, there are 94. Remember Trump about all them hostages better come home or else. Well, yeah, we've got the details. There are 94 hostages that we know are still being held. We have intelligence that 34 of them are dead. The Israelis just either they've gotten horrific videos of their assassinations, their murders, or they have through combat figured out that, intelligence gathering, 34 of the 94 are dead. That leaves 60 hostages. The first round of this ceasefire is supposed to result in the release of Palestinian prisoners and 30 of the 60 remaining hostages. It was a hiccup. Hamas, the last minute, added 2 names to the list. I don't have the names yet. They haven't been released, but apparently they're pretty high value Hamas targets that Israel would not want to give up, which means they're probably pretty brutal terrorists. That threw a hitch in things. But looks like they smoothed that out, and they're going to push through this Sunday. Here's the problem, folks. Here's the problem. In order to not collapse the Netanyahu government, because Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich there's no such thing as peace with these guys. I keep telling you, the right in Israel cannot survive peace. Hamas cannot survive peace. These 2 men will not have peace. Itamar Ben-Gvir is resigning from Benjamin Netanyahu's security cabinet, but has said if he could get assurances, and we have now found out what those assurances are, that he would not withdraw all of his support and cause snap elections and cause the collapse of the Netanyahu government. He would just resign himself. Smotrich has been more vocal. He has said that if, as soon as phase 1 of this deal is over, if he has not gotten before the vote in the Knesset, if he hasn't gotten written assurances from Benjamin Netanyahu that as soon as phase 1 is over, remember there's going to be phase 1, which is a few weeks long, then phase 2 is supposed to be further exchanges. Phase 1, they're supposed to allow in trucks full of aid and the exchange of hostages and stop fighting. The IDF is supposed to pull back to the east. That's the deal. That's phase 1. Phase 2 is supposed to be further negotiations, the exchange of the remaining hostages and the remaining Palestinian prisoners. Phase 3 is rebuilding. Smotrich and Itamar Ben-Gvir have apparently attained their goal of assurances in writing from Benjamin Netanyahu that after phase 1, the war will recommence, that Israel will go on the attack again. Because both of these men have publicly said that any kind of deal now is a failure and does not result in the complete obliteration of Hamas. They do not agree with stopping the violence, stopping the fighting. They don't agree with the ceasefire. Itamar Ben-Gvir and Smotrich both said publicly that they have intentionally scuttled hostage deals previously. Itamar Ben-Gvir has bragged about scuttling 3 deals. Both of these men have apparently received in writing from Benjamin Netanyahu that as soon as phase 1 is over, the war will recommence. I told you this was not a peace deal. I told you this was going to be short and temporary. I told you the radical right in Israel cannot survive without war. The Hamas and the Palestinian leadership cannot survive without war. Hamas tried to scuttle the deal by demanding people that they just knew Israel would not turn over. They all want war, period. And it is the people of Israel. Thankfully, it looks like Benny Gantz is finally getting the support that he needs, and the left is going to remove Benjamin Netanyahu in the next election. It is trending that direction. That's the only silver lining in this, is that Netanyahu, this is so distasteful to people that they are playing with these hostages' lives, that they're being so cruel to these hostages' family, that there is starting to be a backlash as well. What happens in Gaza, we don't know. I don't have a lot of hope there. I don't have a lot of hope in Gaza. I don't. They have followed people down the wrong path for so long. I don't know if they can change paths. I don't. But I do know that you can be assured this is not a peace deal. This is a temporary ceasefire, and that Smotrich and Ben-Gvir have both gotten their written assurances that the war will recommence in a few weeks. And that will be going on while these special elections are happening. We have no time for the circular firing squad. We have no time for the made up crap that people in this whole I'm the smartest person, look at me, virtue signaling about Gaza, and the Democrats are terrible. We have no time. We have no time. We must capitalize on this. There is no room for the smartest of the smart people that keep showing up in my social media. When we go on the attack about this, there is no room for these people who feed their vanity, that don't bother to pay attention to what's actually going on the ground. There's no room. There's no excuse. We cannot keep doing this. I got another video for you that I want to play for you. I didn't pull it up. I didn't have it pulled up because basically TikTok is a data hog, and I wanted everything to remain clear and smooth. And so I'm going to pull this up now that we've closed out a lot of tabs. I've got actually two videos for you. This is going to blow your freaking mind. Going back to the United Healthcare thing and the Federal Trade Commission and why we don't have time for nonsense. This really happened. This is Dr. Elizabeth Potter. This is one of the reasons they want to kill TikTok. There are so many doctors on TikTok that talk about real world examples. Real world examples. She's a surgeon. They talk about things that they deal with. This really happened.
It's 2025 and insurance just keeps getting worse. I just did 2 bilateral deeps and 2 bilateral tissue expanders for patients. And I've never had this happen before, but during the second deep, I got a phone call into the operating room saying that United Healthcare wanted me to call them about one of the patients who was having surgery today, who was actually asleep having surgery. And, said I had to call right now. So I scrubbed out of my case and I called United Healthcare.
Now I want to clarify that just to make sure you're understanding this. She is in surgery. This patient is on the table. They did all the pre-authorizations, all of everything. While the surgery is going on, United Healthcare calls down, demands to be forwarded through to the operating room. This doctor who is removing tissue samples from a patient has to stop the surgery to answer questions for a person in United Healthcare who is not a doctor, not a nurse, not medically trained, as to why all of this is necessary. Mid-surgery.
And the gentleman said he needed some information about her, wanted to know her diagnosis and whether her inpatient stay should be justified. And I was like, do you understand that she's asleep right now? And she has breast cancer. And the gentleman said, actually, I don't. That's a different department that would know that information. And I was like, well, she does need to stay overnight tonight. And you have all the information with you because I got approval for this surgery. And I need to go back and be with my patient now. But yeah, it's out of control. Insurance is out of control. I have no other words. It's 2025.
So yeah, this is Dr. Elizabeth Potter. If you're on TikTok, I'm going to encourage her to come to Blue Sky because she can post these videos. Most of these videos aren't so long that she can't post them. But there are several doctors
Yesterday
that
was
talk
stressful.
about real world things that are happening. Folks, I don't know how to tell you. You are in a class war. No, it's not every wealthy person. Look, I'm going to tell you something, folks. Since we've had so much success, I've had several really good people that are successful people that have reached out behind the scenes and are supporting this show. They're with you. They're successful people. They're part of successful companies, but they're not oligarchs. They're not these nutballs. The oligarchs are at war with you. And folks, they did. They shot their shot. Elon Musk destroyed his brand. And all they got was a 50-50 election out of it. You hold the power. If you can keep educating people, if you can keep growing our community, if you can keep talking, I'm going with Wickler. I'm going with Wickler. I don't want to get into, I didn't want to get it. I'll answer it for you. I wasn't going to get it ahead of that, but I'm liking Wickler. This is what it is, folks. It is a class war. And yeah, they're at the point where you have to fight tooth and nail to get a surgery, to get pre-approval for a surgery that you need. You have cancer. They will overcharge you for the drugs. They will call the hospital while you are open, on a bed, in surgery, and ask the doctor to re-justify what you're going through. If that's not a war on you, what the hell is? I mean, what the hell is? No time. No time. No time at all for circular firing squads. No time at all for feeling sorry for ourselves, for quitting what we're doing. You know, I was really looking forward to the Harris administration. I'm not going to lie to you folks. I was really looking forward to dialing this back. I was looking forward to some time off, man. I really was. And I know you got to be tired of it too. I know you do. But we don't have that luxury. Elections have consequences. They're going to be awful. They're going to do awful things. They're going to say awful things. We have to be in place to amplify that, to cause this backlash to be as harsh as humanly possible. We have special elections coming up. Some of you have local special elections I haven't even talked about. That's why I'm begging you, pretty please, do two things. Be an educator for your people. Be an educator for your people. And two, get involved with your local Democratic Party. You will be amazed at the good you can get done and the positive people that will come into your life. You'll need that positive energy. You will need other people that are like-minded, like you, that are aware and informed. I would like to say that we're it, that we're it. We are, but we're not. There are more people out there, that are in other communities that are like us. Unfortunately, a lot of them haven't figured out the cold hard truth that they're talking to the stupids. They're talking to the stupids that have to go out and Google what oligarch means, because the president of the United States finally came out and said, look, we're turning into an oligarchy. This is a problem. The President of the United States just had, in his farewell address to the military, had to beg them to please remember their oaths. It's going to be important. If the President of the United States is going there in his farewell address, we're going to have a lot of work ahead of us, and it's not all going to be fun. But speaking about being fun, Schadenfreude is fun. The last thing I want to leave you with is this. I think you're going to enjoy it. There's two quick video clips I want to play for you off of Blue Sky. I hope you're on Blue Sky. I enjoy Blue Sky. I really do. I'm going to play these without sound. Please forgive me. This one has a ton of wind noise in it, so I'm going to play it without sound. Yeah. See the dot in the middle of the screen? Wow. That was some expensive fireworks. 8 minutes into the flight, one of Elon Musk's pretty little stainless steel rockets, just blew up. I wonder how much that payload cost. They're being kind of mum about it. We don't know exactly how much this cost, but yeah, that happened. I've got another view of it that's post-explosion that's a little bit better. But again, I'm going to have to play it without sound because the young lady speaking in it is annoying. Forgive the fact that there's no audio with it, but just imagine a grown woman talking like a teenager in the background, screaming, "Oh my God! Oh my God!" Yeah, I couldn't do it. It was like nails on a chalkboard. Isn't that pretty? Multi-million-dollar fireworks, all for you, folks. A little bit of Schadenfreude for you. Enjoy Elon Musk's failures. Pertherin, wow. Thank you, my friend. Part of our international audience. I am so glad you're here. I think I love Texas, Paul, as much as, yeah, I'm glad you're here, my friend. I am glad you're here. I am glad you're here. Thank you for the support. Thank you all for the support. I can't do it without you. I do the best I can. We got a lot of work ahead of us. Pretty please. Thought for today. No more circular firing squads. Be ride or die. Let me see my ride or die Democrats. ID yourselves. Are you a ride or die Democrat? I will remind you one more time. What does it mean to be a ride or die Democrat? It means you fight for your values. You fight for what you believe in all the way through the primaries. We are about to select a new leader of the Democratic Party. Yeah. To actually run the party apparatus. That's going on. Fight for your people. Fight for the ones that you believe. But once that fight is over, the primary is over, you walk in that booth and you pull the lever for Democrats because you know, even though Democrats aren't perfect, they're the only big tent party. They're the only party going forward that still does things based on decency and will reflect your values going forward, even if they don't get it all right and they don't do it to 100% of your satisfaction. They are the only party moving our direction. And if we do that, folks, we can just wrap a rope around that Democratic Party and drag it kicking, screaming back to the left where it needs to be. Right now, the Democratic Party is a center-right party. It does not move left because some people on social media kick the shit out of Democrats and discourage voters. No, it moves to the left because of your involvement, your participation, your voice on the local level, rising up through the ranks. That's how it moves to the left, folks. That's why I work with so many of these local Democratic parties. Let's make this happen. Let's make the country a better place. Let's mitigate the damage that's about to happen with Donald Trump. Jason Crew, thank you, my friend. That's a lot of support. Texas Paul, thank you for being such a bright beacon of light during a time when the world seems to be getting so much darker. I always leave your show with some renewed hope. Also, nice shirt. Thank you. I appreciate it. I like this shirt. My wife hates this shirt. I like this shirt. Sharon Novak, acidity. I don't know what that means. Jane Bledsoe should probably stop running his rockets through car. That's the problems of SpaceX. Amen. Amen. But folks, that's how we do it. That's how you move. I've said it before. I'm conservative about some things. I am very liberal about others. But I don't get that done just sitting bitching on social media. I don't get those views pushed into the party just sitting and bitching on social media. I've got to get involved. I've got to meet with the local people. When we have discussions and they say something that is too far to the right, I've got to be there to be able to say, you know what? No, let's not. Let's talk about it from this point of view, not that point of view. That's really how you foment change. Help. Pull together as a community. We on Blue Sky, we just broke 200,000 people in our community on Blue Sky. Folks, if we just act, half of us just act, we can change the world. We can change the world. Lori Dexheimer, thank you for being a sane voice out there. Keep up the excellent work. Thank you. Thank you. Was that a test? Were you trying to test me there? Thank you for the support, Lori. I really appreciate you. Valerie Martin loved Midas' message on Orange Mussolini this morning. Amen. I'm gonna say it again. Ben, Brett, and Jordy, I consider them personal friends. They are good people. They're good people. They are. And they give a shit. And they are running the fastest growing independent network there is out there. If you are not following Midas, you're doing yourself a disservice. Follow them on social media. Follow them here on YouTube. Great content. Legal AF. Karen Ignifilo. That is Luigi's lawyer. And you know me, I'm Team Luigi, man. That is Luigi Mangione's lawyer, Karen Ignifilo from Legal AF. Michael Popak. And sometimes Ben Meiselas pops in there in Legal AF. They take complex legal issues and break them down and present them in a way that just anybody, a layperson, can understand. They do good work. Let's keep at it. Let's keep fighting. Let's keep at it. Let's keep going. Let's stay motivated. We got a lot of work to do ahead. And you can see from these hearings, they're going to do exactly all the things that we said they were going to do. A lot of people voted for them that are going to be saying out loud, this is not what I voted for. We've got to be there to scoop these people up and say, yeah, we told you. Now get on board. Love you, folks. Enjoy some Texas cities at night.